It's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, this is Ivy Slater. Welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. Today, I have a brilliant guest, somebody I'm so excited to join me on Her Success Story. Nighat Shah is vice president of the Memphis-based property and real estate group, Shah Holdings Group. She is also established international impact investor and philanthropist. Nighat has been focused on pressing social issues in both her native Pakistan and her adopted country of the United States. She has worked over the past 2 decades in investments, property management, advocacy, social entrepreneurship, ecosystems development, humanitarianism programs, and philanthropy. I can go on and on. She has also just produced a film that I'm really excited to hear about. Nighat, you're a woman who has done so many things, but more importantly, why I was so excited to have you on the show is you're a woman who makes a difference as a leader. So thank you for that, and welcome to Her Success Story.
Ivy, thank you so much. And I'm so grateful for your generous introduction. You're a wonderful woman yourself. Thank you so much. And I am glad to be here. Thank you.
So I have to ask, how did you, let's start at the business side and then move into the investing and the philanthropy side, which I know is very near and dear to your heart and very important to me to get out there on a personal basis. How did this whole business thing come about for you? Did you go to school for business? Did you always want to start a business? Where did it come about for you?
So Ivy, here's the thing. I grew up in a family of business people, like family of merchant. My father was a businessman. And my mother was also used to have this business acumen, and she used to teach us all about how to handle your finances and everything. So when I came to United States in 2000, so my husband and I started with a small convenience store. So from there, we worked really hard and we grew from there. During the time when I didn't have children, we both were working day and night, like tirelessly. Then when I had my children, I was mainly staying at home, taking care of the family, and also helping my husband with all the paperwork and taking money to the bank, this and that.
The whole back end of running the business. He was the front end, you were the back end. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes, running the business. So when I was a stay-at-home mom for 8 years, right? I consider myself a very smart woman, business-wise.
Right. You have a great business brain. I know how much you have done in our previous conversations. Yeah. Don't underestimate. And I also want to give an honor. Staying home with a couple of kids is not a part-time job. It is a full-time job in addition of everything else you do.
Yeah. But then I took on the responsibility of, hey, I have to go back to school, because that was already in my mind that I need to go back to school and complete my education. So after staying, being a stay-at-home mom for 8 years, I went back to school and completed my degree, top of my class. So that was a time where I had to see a raising family, take care of the family, and also be a part of my husband's business with him, and also study. So that's how I was into the business. And then I studied and I completed my education in business administration, concentrating in finance.
Okay. And so how did you get into starting to do impact investing?
Impact investing, again, here's the thing. When way later on, after I was done with my master's degree, I went to University of Memphis. And then we used to go to these small businesses for like a case review. We used to study about different small businesses and all that. And I realized one thing at that time, that many women are independent, right? Financially independent. They can go to work and then work for themselves and pay the rent, this and that. But very few women were financially free. Financially free in a sense that even if they don't work for a couple of months, their money is making money for them. So when I realized that I have some money that I know, I will give most of the credit to my husband for the business, because when I was busy raising family, when I was busy going to school, my husband was taking care of the business. I was then a small part. But we made sure, actually, we made sure that the business that we started together, it will be called our business, like my husband and I, my business, not like only my husband's business. My husband is in that way very strong-willed person. Like he can empower other people and then feel good about it. You know, some people
Love it.
always push down their women
Yes.
because they want to be all,
because they have to be the dominant or the strong or feel
Yeah.
smart or feel knowledgeable.
Yes, we never have these disagreements, and we know that we are in it together. So we are partner in everything. If we are raising our kids together, that means if we are doing a business together, that means that belongs to both of us. So in a way, we both worked for the business. Our contribution were different at different points in time, but the business became ours. So when I knew that I have decision powers, I knew that I can make impact. I wanted to be an impact investor, started investing in startups that were particularly women run. So one of the business that I invested in was the medical device that one woman started here. Dr. Rowan, it's Somovec, because they have devices for breast cancer surgeries.
Oh, how fascinating. That is fascinating.
Yeah.
And how did you hear, how did you find out about this? So, people, and I saw myself included, it seems so intriguing to find out about, impact investing. How did you start connecting to those communities to gain this knowledge, to start making those decisions?
It started with one newsletter we received from the university, that there was a program happening for startups. Like you will go and see what kind of startups are happening in your area. So that was one program I attended and met a few people. And then one people can make connection to another person. They will introduce you to different people. And I used to ask my husband, let's go. We have to attend this program because we are in Memphis at the end of the day, and we have to give back to the community, like here where we are, because I see we are more of an international people, because we have family members in Pakistan, family members in Canada, here and there. But when my kids were growing up, they were going to high school, I realized the importance of going to your community where you are physically staying, and giving back to your community. That's when we end up finding businesses that were starting in Memphis.
So I have to jump a little bit. So you started impact investing. And
yes.
How long ago was that? And what have you the broad scope of what you're doing with that piece?
So that was 2015. 2015, that's when I started looking at startup companies in Memphis and starting investing in them.
Love it. Then on the philanthropy side.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting in my head looking, Nighat, at your timeline of what you've accomplished in such a short period of time, in all honesty. I mean, this is where my utmost admiration and respect is coming from. You just jump in and say yes. You hear about something, you read about something, and it's almost as if you don't give it a second thought. You just say yes and start exploring and jump in. And I so admire that.
Thank you. So, when philanthropy and humanitarian, as mothers, it's always in our heart. We always want to give back. We want to bring change. Most of the time we are able to bring change in our family, but if we are given the opportunity and resources, we want to definitely spread our wings and go outside. So I think I was one of the lucky ones. I had these opportunities. So I could think about Pakistan, where I grew up. I was successful here. So I thought about, what can I do for women in Pakistan, in the area where they have less opportunities. So in order to fulfill my need of giving back to the community, I started this philanthropy. It started a long time ago, but I only talk about it after 2014, when first I wanted to raise awareness about mental health and suicide prevention. Because I'm from a very small town, mountainous region. The problem there were the suicide rate was going up among youth, especially girl children, right? So I tried my best to send psychologists there to train some people. Later on, I realized that were most of the time preaching to the choir. So that's when that's when I started thinking about raising awareness to the mainstream media of Pakistan, and most likely international media, so they can talk about the mental health is health. Without mental health, so there are so many problems. Mental health is prevalent everywhere in the world, but the
Yes, it
reason,
is.
the underlying pressures are different in different societies, different cultures. So that's where my film about mental health and suicide came about.
So
It was
so give me the name of the film and tell me about it.
Yeah, so here are the two films I have made so far. One film is a short film that is called This Bank of the River. The
This
river
bank
is
of the river.
Yeah, the river in this story is significant because many people use the beautiful river as an instrument to commit suicide. So that was about mental health and suicide. And my happiest moment is when I see the impact and the awareness that brought to the community and to the mainstream media, especially in Pakistan. People now talk about mental health and suicide. And I'm happy to say that I helped it just a tiny bit. So I'm so happy.
It takes big, I will say numerous times, success is about a culmination of baby steps. So if that baby step for you helped it and helped raise awareness, I don't care where you are in the world, suicide is an epidemic.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately across every age bracket, every demographic. It is not industry agnostic, listeners. And so any way we can raise awareness around it is an important component. And every baby step matters.
Totally, I agree. That's why the film went on receiving awards and being included in festivals in United States, India, places in one film. It was Egypt, Cairo, Egypt, and France. So many places. So that when that happened, I realized that there are always you grow up with some of the issues that you kind of keep them dearly to your heart, and you say, I must do something about these things. Right. So one of them for me was child labor. And then later on, when I became a mother, I realized that child labor, there's nothing worse than child labor and child exploitation, because they are the very vulnerable people of us.
Absolutely. They are one of the most vulnerable, and that is incredibly important.
Yeah. So my film about child labor, that's when I realized that I should make a film about child labor. Then I selected a story that's a hero's journey. One child, Iqbal Masih, he was sold to servitude when he was merely 4 or 5 years old. So he freed himself, and he joined an organization and helped free many other children of his age. but he was murdered or he was killed at the age of 12 or 13 years old. So my next film, that is called Gunjal, means entangled, where truth
Untangled.
can be twisted. Entangled, yeah, truth can be twisted. That is the story of that child. But here's the thing, it's not exactly the story of the child. We are just taking a journalistic perspective of the story into his death, and how atrocious were the child labors, and why it should not happen in a country or in a place. So that's the new film that about to be released, but it's not released yet.
So what has surprised you in your journey? You've done so much. You've made a huge impact. You're a woman leader to be admired in the way in everything you've done also, but more than anything, the way you just step in, you see something and you step into it. What has surprised you?
You know, I'm a very positive person. I am every second day when I see my successes and when I see other people succeeding in certain things, I get surprised. I'm like, wow, yes. And I'm positively surprised about each and every step of my life. Because I was surprised when I finished my graduation with 4.0 GPA. I was surprised when I finished my master's degree in 1 year, because my professor said, you are a brilliant student, so we will let you take 21 hours. At one point, I was taking 27 hours. So
wow,
I was surprised on that. And I'm mostly surprised when I hear the stories of people's resilience, how people can do amazing things, and the survival stories, and people doing great things.
I think that's so true. I think when we allow ourselves to look out, and I will say I'm incredibly lucky in doing her success story and meeting women and those exceptional men that we interview who are doing great things, who are making a difference in this world in such a strong way. That it's when I look around, I'm humbled on a regular basis.
Totally. I'm also very humbled to see people, how amazing people are. There are always good stories, positive stories. I know there's so much bad going on in the world, but believe me that we are living in the best time ever. So
I love
people are
that.
doing amazing things. Yeah.
So what is one tip or one piece you could leave for our listeners? One thing you've learned, a piece of advice or a tip that you would leave forward?
I always say for women, I always say that try to be financially independent and financially free. Make financial decisions. And also, women need to understand that they need to ask. They need to learn how to ask for things. And another thing,
I you actually love that, because I truly believe in stepping forward and asking. And so often we are not speaking up. We think about it. We wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't this be, but to actually lean in and ask and show up, I think is huge.
That's a huge thing, because I remember about reading one article, Harvard Business Review. Only 21% women who are interviewed for VP jobs, higher jobs, 21% of them asked about their salary and asked about raise.
Happens
On
to
the
be
other
very
hand,
true.
79% men, or more than that, asked whether they can get more salaries.
That happens to be an incredibly true, and I could share a lot of stories around there. Ladies, all I can do is encourage you to be bold, step forward, and ask.
Yeah. And never underestimate what you can achieve. Like, if you're passionate about something, go for it.
I agree. And so, Nighat, how can our listeners learn more, follow you, hear about the film coming out soon?
I have a website, gunjalmovie.com, and my production company is adurproductions.com. So,
Awesome.
and then they can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Nighat. Thanks for taking time out of, I know it's always a busy day in your life with a lot going on. Listeners, take a moment and think about, from listening to our conversation, what is the one thing that you took away from this? And then make a decision. You can write that down. You could put it in your phone, jot it on a piece of paper, put it right here in the show notes if you'd like. What is the one action you're going to take for yourself from listening in today? Thank you for joining me on Her Success Story, and thank you for continuing to lean into our wonderful interviews and great guests.
Don't need your approval anymore, 'cause I've got mine.